Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV. And a big shout out to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio. Hello, Christopher Roberts. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is the United Kitchens. And our celebrity chef, Ricki Mckenna, is really cooking up something great today. And she's got a two-shot waiting for us. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Let's bring her on. Hi, Ricki. How are you?
Good morning, Jacalyn. I'm technologically a little bit, a pinch better. So we're going to experiment today with the two shots.
I'm pretty excited about it. This is the first two shot on USA Global TV. Woo!
Oh.
Thanks to Richard for helping to make that happen.
Yes, my techie.
So, Ricki, we're off to our first show for the new platform that we had our big launch on Monday. And I'd love to spotlight you. And just for people joining for the first time, you're a celebrity chef. You're also a certified nutritionist. You are an author. You're so many more things. And I just would love to have you share with our audience a little bit about your background and your passion for nutritious and fun food.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. Well, I've been a certified nutritionist for 22 years now, which one of the things that I do with that in cooking is consider the nutritional value of the foods that we use and that we take in, because food is, as far as I'm concerned, the key to your health. And so for the last 22 years, I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of cooking. And that I've found that food really does make a difference. I've written for the Aspen Daily News. I wrote a column for them for over a year. And I've written for other magazines. I have a book coming out which will be out shortly, working with one of the other wonderful co-hosts on Dr. Jacalyn's shows, Red O'Loughlin. And it is called Yes, You Can Eat Well and Eat Right and Find the Joys of Cooking. Because I know that in the last year and a half, almost 2 years now, many of us have been in the house and fending for ourselves. And I really believe that home cooking is far better than many, many of the so-called takeouts and fast foods. You can make your own fast food. I have taught classes in this before. I'm a certified Dream Builder life coach. And with bringing all of that together, I absolutely love entertaining and cooking. And so we started these cooking shows a while back, and here we are advancing. And now I've got two shots so we can show you what's actually happening on the range.
I love that. I love the music that's playing too. Very beautiful.
Ooh, okay. I wasn't sure if you could hear that or not. I need music.
Yeah, and I like it.
It inspires me. So
it sets the tone, that's for sure.
Yes.
All right, Ricki, what are you going to be whipping up for us today?
Okay, I am whisking up some good stuff. Actually, I do need a whisk. Just 1 second. That just reminded me. The first thing I'm going to do is create a spice rub for a chimichurri sauce. And both of them, first the spice rub goes on. I'm using flank steak today, and I've cut a piece of flank steak. It's a little over a pound. I've got it here. And one of the things about flank steak, I love flank steak because it is one of the tastiest cuts of meat, but it may also be a little tough. So the first thing that I do, besides washing it when I get it in, is to poke holes in it and tenderize it. You can use a meat tenderizer if you like. And I do both sides. It's like take your fork and have at it. And this, I do believe, helps to tenderize it, because it may not be, it may be the tastiest of a lot of cuts, but it's not always the most tender. And I'll show you in a little while, when we've cooked it, how to cut it properly so that people can enjoy it, you and your company or whomever. So there, we've got that started. And I think we've got enough holes in it now. It's quite aerated, and I hope a little more tenderized. You can use a meat tenderizer if you like. So we're going to take, for our spice rub, it's very simple. We've got paprika, ground cumin, Coleman's mustard, or any dried mustard other than probably a wasabi, a yellow mustard, and salt. And so it makes a simple but very tasty rub. So I'm using 1.5 tablespoons, and if your measuring spoons usually have a 1.5 spoon, so use that. Makes things quicker and easier. And I think we maybe, nope, thought we were all out of paprika, but there we go. We've got about 1.5 tablespoons of that. Get a little bit more. And then we're going to do the same thing with the cumin. And of course, if you like a little bit more of something, for example, I love cumin, so I might have put a little bit more of it in there. And here's something that can happen often. Instead of the cumin, guess what I grabbed? I grabbed the cinnamon. So we're going to do a little, all right, Julia, I know you're watching me. I'm going to take some of the cinnamon out. And it really can't hurt, because this is an incredibly fun sauce to make, or rub at this point. And we're going to try this with the cumin now. And a little bit more. So I've got my cumin, a little bit of cinnamon, and the paprika. I'm going to take the mustard, and the mustard is also 1.5 teaspoons. So we carefully pour that in. I said carefully. And if you get a little more or a little less of one of them, it may just change the flavor a teeny bit. But I'm going to get my whisk and get my salt in there. Here we go. Let's see if we can do this just for fun. I'm using my whisk to blend it, because anytime I have dry ingredients, I like to use a whisk. And of course, this is little, so I'm using my little whisk. And since the whisk is part of my Ricki's Kitchen logo, I love using them. And we need 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. So we'll take about that much. And put that in. And now for the fun part. What I'm going to do with my flank steak is I'm going to take it over to the sink, and I'm going to wet it down a little bit so that the rub sticks to it. Now, I could use olive oil, but I really don't want to do that right now.
Ricki, what's the reason that you don't want to use the olive oil now?
Well, because I'm going to use olive oil in the pan to cook it.
Ah, we don't want to double up on the oil.
Yeah, the oil would be fine, but I just want to make sure. There we go. Actually, okay, we can use that too. Let's mix oil and water. You never know what can happen. But just a little, so that we're rubbing the olive oil on first. And we're going to do this on both sides. Then I'm going to take my mixed up rub and sprinkle a little along on top and literally rub it in. It's going to be an interesting combination with the cinnamon in there. And you know what happens? Sometimes when you make a silly mistake like that, it turns out to be the best thing you could have done, because it changes the flavor and you find something different. So if you, quote, unquote, mess up with something like that, just go with it, unless it's really something radical. So I'm going to turn it over and get the other side. We'll put a little oil on that side as well. My oil can is very full, so it's a bit dribbly right now. And I've got about a tablespoon of oil in my pan, which we'll see in a minute. And we'll spread the rub on this side as well. And by the way, I did make this before, and I got pretty good reviews.
We'd love to hear that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now with the oil and the water on there, it's actually absorbing it nicely. So I will give you, I'm going to switch, Dr. Jacalyn, and see how this works.
All right, while you're doing your two-shot, we do have a comment from Mr. Hyatt Ives. Howdy, y'all. Great to be here and looking forward to today's program. Very nice, Hyatt. Thanks for being in the house with us. Appreciate it.
Hello, Hyatt. Okay, here's our beautifully rubbed piece of flank steak, and I'm going to turn it on to not high, but a little like medium high. And I have about a tablespoon of oil in the pan, and it's not a non-stick pan because I really prefer regular stainless steel.
So why is that, Ricki?
I just happen to be kind of a purist when it comes to things like that, and that will start heating shortly, and we'll keep an eye on it when it starts to sizzle.
Now, a question I have, Ricki, anytime that I would cook something in oil, sometimes there is splatter. Is there any way to eliminate that so the oil doesn't go all over when it starts heating up?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yes. And I'll show you what to do. Many of us have gotten these. And one of the participants on my Ricki's Kitchen show got a present from her husband. He gave her 3 different sizes of these splatter screens. But something that I found, sometimes just one doesn't really stop a lot of the splattering. So if you happen to have more than one, I suggest putting the 2 of them on at different angles. So that really closes more of the holes in the screen. And it helps the splattering quite a bit.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if you've got one, go pick up another one. They're really good. I'm cleaning this up because I'm going to take this, and we're about to cut up a shallot that's going to go on it. Actually, we don't even need this. Okay. Now I'm going to cut up the goodies that make the chimichurri sauce. Since we've done the rub, the chimichurri sauce is made up of a number of different goodies. The first thing we have is olive oil. And I'm going to get my waiting bowl right here. And I'm going to take my olive oil. And we're going to use a tablespoon and a half, 6 tablespoons. So what I'm going to use is my tablespoon and a half and do, of course, if you do 2 of those, you have 3. So we do 4, and we've got 6. Okay. And then we got 6 tablespoons of pure olive oil. And I can hear my steak starting to sizzle, so I'm going to check that. With my 2 screens on top. Perfect. Okay. You can move it around and make sure that you get the oil underneath it so that it lessens the chance of sticking. Okay. In addition, now we've got a tablespoon and a half of red wine vinegar, or you can use cherry wine vinegar. So that tablespoon and a half measuring spoon comes in really handy. Here's our vinegar. And the next thing we do is a tablespoon and a half of lemon juice. And I have a wonderful little thing made by KitchenAid. Maybe we can get a sponsor. It's called a lemon squeeze. And this one isn't the kind that, whoops, it does kind of squirt all over, but this This one catches the lemon juice in a little bowl of its own. So I'm going to pour that. And we've got about almost a tablespoon there. Making sure we get it all thoroughly out there. Now we've got the other lemon. I'm going to cut it in half across. And I think this should be enough to come up to about a tablespoon and a half. Fresh lemon juice is always good in lots of recipes because it's, oh yeah, to bring out the flavor of your food. So we've got all that in the bowl now. And we're going to add a couple of garlic cloves. And as I said earlier, if you really love something, a particular spice or something like garlic, and you want to add a little bit more than what it calls for, that's perfectly fine. So instead of 2 small cloves, I have about 2.5 to 3 cloves. And I'm just going to chop it roughly because all of this is going into a blender.
Ricki, before you go to the blender, can you take us over to the 2-shot?
Oh, sure. You can see what's going on in the pan.
Yeah,
right
I love that sizzling.
Oh, this is fun. Now I'm going to adjust so that our sizzle doesn't turn into burn. Here we go. Can you see it?
Yeah.
And this is quite a thick piece of the flank steak. I'm going to turn it down a little because my range retains, and the stainless steel pots and pans that I use retain a lot of heat so that I can cook on a lower heat. There we go. Isn't that pretty?
Very nice.
And
it looks like two tennis rackets on top of the plate there.
Almost, yeah. All right, let's get back to our mixture here. This is an interesting thing to do here. I need an engineer. Okay, so we've got our garlic, and now we're going to use the shallot. And I got, it's not small, but it's not a big shallot. So I'm just going to cut it roughly. Because again, as I said, it's going in the blender. So we've got lemon juice, and we've got the shallot, and we've got olive oil, and all of the things that make for a yummy dish. And next would be the salt, of course. And it calls for half a teaspoon of salt. So we've got approximately that here. And I use kosher salt. That's a good chunk of salt. And then we have fresh red pepper flakes. This I will measure because I'm not a fan of red pepper as much as I am of other things. So I'm going to use, and it calls for a quarter teaspoon. So we'll definitely do a quarter teaspoon. And this is a half measure, so I'm doing half of the half. There. That should work. I'm going to check on our lovely piece of meat here. And I want you to see, beautiful. Okay, we'll have to go over there and look at that. You can see how beautifully it's browning. And of course, that's partly due to the rub that's on it.
Ricki, are you going for rare, medium, well done?
Okay, good question. It's actually going to be, this is over an inch thick. It usually, when I do it this way, comes out to rare to medium rare, actually. The smaller end of it to be tapered will come out a little more well done, but it's still pink. And then the larger end is rare. You have to be careful with something like this because, as I said, the flank steak is usually a little bit tougher than a lot of the other meat cuts. Okay, we're going to do, now we got parsley. I'll show you another tip that I found really works. This is my parsley jar. It looks like a lovely brain gathering of things, but I have cilantro in here, and I have parsley. And since we need a half a cup of the parsley, I'm going to take most of what's in here. And this is a good way to store it in the refrigerator because it keeps it fresh. So what I do is when I get the parsley or the cilantro and any green like that home, I will chop off the bottom. Sometimes I stem it, but in this case, if you want to put it in a glass so it stays fresh, don't take the stem. And this one calls for stemmed parsley. So I'm pulling the leaves for the most part. It doesn't matter if you put the little stems on top. So what they ask not to put in is the lower one, the thicker, heavier one. And since parsley is one of those wonderful things for your body and your system, as well as your bad breath, it can help freshen your breath and your mouth. I keep the stems, and this morning in my smoothie, I had a bunch of parsley and cilantro stems. So I'm going to roughly chop up the parsley, which is going in the blender. And then we have our cilantro, which is already been chopped. And the last part, we're back over here. And I'm going to turn it way down to low because I don't want it to get overcooked. Now, here's just another hint. It calls for a half a cup of fresh mint, the leaves. And when you stem something like parsley or especially something like mint, here's the easy way. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
Okay. You take it from the top, the smaller leaves, you can pull those off, and then hang on tight and just run your two fingers straight down the stem. Easy peasy. I'm taking the top leaf off, and I'm holding on. You leave yourself enough to hold on to it. And as you can see, I'm just piling it all in here. And then we're going to use the blender, and I'll give Dr. Jacalyn a chance to maybe find out some more questions if you've got more comments or questions. And to just take a couple of minutes in the blender, I'm going to give it a little mix in here. So I mix my oil and everything else that's in here. Alrighty. Then we'll go to the blender, and we're going to make a lot of noise. So, Dr. Jacalyn, it's all
I'm going to put you on mute. All right. Okay, so for everybody out there who's watching, Hyatt, I know you're out there and I see on the platforms, what are your thoughts about cooking with stainless steel versus some other type of cooking surface? I know for me, I cook with stainless steel, and I know there's other ceramic. Anybody who's who cooks out there, do you have any comments for us? Do, 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 do. All right, while you're typing up, also something I'd like to find out from Ricki is if there's a certain kind of blender that she recommends, not a specific model per se, but you know, they have those the small blenders, and then you've got the food processing things that are blenders, and then you've got the traditional blenders. So I'll be interested to hear what it is that she thinks is a good suggestion. All right, she's still blending. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. We're going to watch Diane Floyd Bames, A Song of Peace.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
Diane Floyd Bames' A Song of Peace tells the story of a young lad named Tommy whose fervent wish for peace on earth touches the hearts of his friends and family, spreads to his community, and eventually unites the whole world around making his dream of peace a reality for everyone. Sit down with the children of your life and share Tommy's amazing story of love and hope. Sing your own song of peace and invite the children to join you. Tommy's tale is more than just a story. It's a movement, and everyone's warmly welcome to take part.
Kapayapaan. kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
You'll find A Song of Peace, along with many other wonderful learning and enriching opportunities for children of all ages, at DianeFloydBain.com.
And you have to kind of keep doing that very carefully so that you don't hit the blades. So it doesn't really matter. I have a Ninja that I use for certain things, but this was very handy. It's a glass, which I love instead of plastic. And here's our chimichurri sauce. I'm going to pour that for you so you can see it.
It's very pretty green.
Beautiful green. And I'm going to pour that in the bowl. And we'll actually use this for serving as well. Put that over here.
Now, Ricki, I'm a huge fan of pesto sauce. Does that have any relationship or connection whatsoever, taste to pesto?
Well, other than the garlic and the olive oil, no.
Okay.
It's actually, because you're using a combination, there's lemon juice, which you can use in pesto, of course. But it does have the shallot, and, well, we use onions in pesto sometimes, but not usually. The red pepper flakes, and then the parsley, cilantro, and the mint really give it a distinctive flavor. So that's why it's called the chimichurri sauce, which is actually Argentinian. And I'm going to turn this around so you can you see the depth of this?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's a good 1.5 inches. And this side is quite a bit thinner. So I'm going to start cutting, and I'm going to hold my knife on an angle so that I'm not cutting directly down into the meat. I'm cutting actually on a really sharp angle. Can everyone see that? Let me turn it around a little bit, I think. I really should do this over there, except the burner's hot. And you can see, I don't know if you can see the meat. It's quite pink in the middle, but it is definitely done. And you can always put it back in the pan. The first 3 pieces, the end, which is my favorite because it has all the goodies on it. Let me bring this up. Actually, what I'm going to do, I just thought of this. Let me cut a couple more pieces and make sure you cut it on the angle. And you can see as I'll show you when I get the other camera. Let's cut this out so it's pretty. This is fun with the camera, even though it takes time.
I'm loving it.
Yeah. Here we go. Can you see how pink this is?
Yes. Wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of medium to medium rare. And as you get to the thicker piece of meat, it will get more rare. You can see the red spot in the middle.
Now,
So-
will you put that back on or no?
Yes, I can, of course. We happen to like it a little better, a little more well done. So I'm going to take that and put it back in. And here's another tip that I want everybody to understand. With something like this, your pan will get blackened. You can see that. And yesterday, when I've made it before, where's my screen? Yesterday, when I had made it before, the same thing happened. And it got really, really almost crusty black. And if you've ever tried to clean up a pan like that right away, don't. The best thing you can do for something like that is, first of all, let the pan cool. Because you don't want, when you put the water in it, you don't want it to steam. Let it cool, and then put just warm water in it and let it sit for at least an hour. So enjoy your dinner, your lunch, whatever it is. Come back to it later. And I actually took a sponge and just wiped up everything. Because the water will penetrate. It's just food. It will penetrate, and if you haven't really charcoaled it, it will come off. And that's the other reason that I like stainless steel. Stainless steel is far easier to clean up than a lot of the non-stick, because you have to be careful what you use to clean a non-stick. I found here's a weird difference. Another tip. Here we go. Well, obviously this has been used and it's time to change sponges, but I'm going to come up and show you blue sponge, yellow sponge. Difference in the back, these are the scrubby sponges. This scrubby sponge on the blue one is fine to use on something like a non-stick pan, or your countertop, or another surface that you're afraid of scratching. This one will scratch the surface. It will even scratch stainless steel. So be very careful with your sponges. And of course, this is about the time when I replaced the yellow sponge. It's been used, I use them separately. This one goes for dishes, this one goes for countertops and surfaces.
Ricki, what are your thoughts about putting sponges through the dishwasher cycle?
Dishwasher.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you asked. Get a new sponge.
Okay.
That's really the best way to do it. I'm going to give this a taste. And yesterday's chimichurri was a little bit different. I'm just going to put a little on here. And then I have a surprise for you, Dr. Jacalyn. But I have another surprise besides the two cameras. To go with this, I have a pot of brown rice. So I'll use my brown rice. And in addition to that, ooh, that's good. Be right back.
All right. And Hyde, I see that you replied. You're not that sophisticated. You use what's available. All right. I like it. Making things work.
Okay. Since we need a vegetable, I thought that we would take some little peppers, the sweet peppers, sweet red, yellow, and orange peppers. And I'm going to give them a quick rinse, and I'll show you how to cut them up, and then we'll put them in the broiler. So it's
I love the orange and the green together.
yeah. Well, the green, I'm not a fan of green peppers. I know lots of people love them, but my favorites are the red, yellow, and orange. And so you can do this with green as well. What I want to do is show you just how to cut them up. I'm going to cut the top, just skim the top off, and cut it in half. And remove your seeds and any part of the inside, the little white stuff that you don't want. And we are going to take them and put them in a pan and put them either baked at about 400, but you have to be really careful because you just want them slightly charred, not charcoal. Okay, so this makes a wonderful meal, the roasted peppers along with your flank steak or any other form of meat that you want to use. Actually, you can use the chimichurri sauce on almost any kind of meat or on vegetables because it actually is great with the peppers. And so we're just going to get the seeds out. And if you want to, if you use a larger pepper, I like the mini peppers because they're really sweet and they taste great. And they're easy to work with, and they get done fairly quickly. And I've got one ear in the pan here where it's sizzling, so I don't overcook that beautiful piece of meat. There we go. So I've got about, I think I have 6 peppers that I took out. And you can use as many as you like, or as few as you like, of course. Then I've got all the seeds out. I hope it doesn't move. Little engineering over here. And I'm going to take a little baking tin, put a teeny bit of olive oil in the bottom, not a lot. And let's spread that around. And if you're afraid to cook and get your fingers dirty, forget it. It's part of the fun is getting your fingers into the pie, of course, whether it's a pie or not. And then I'm going to take my peppers and lay them out. I'm doing some neat and orderly today. Make sure I get the little seeds out. But somehow or other, the seeds don't work at all. And then I'm going to take some salt and pepper, put it right on them. And this is just ground red, it's black and white, different peppers, just a little of that. And now on top, I'm going to spray olive oil. And if you have a misto or one of those misters for oil, perfect. Just a little. Not a lot. Because the peppers have plenty of juice in themselves. And we're going to put it in the oven.
We have a question from Hyatt. The crackling sound is the meat. It's the
Yes.
system of the oil cooking the meat.
And it's probably done. So I've got my oven up at 400. We'll take a look at it now and see how done we are. Because this is the first, you'll have to forgive the back and forth. Trying to figure these things out. It's a new world. Oh yeah, how about that? It looks almost like a blackened fish or something along those lines, but it has, of course, cooked the meat a little further. And I think we'll just make a little room for it over here. Okay, and I'm cutting from, oh yeah, it's gotten more done. I'm going to put that back. I'm not putting any water in it now, but it's back there so it can cool down. Okay, now you can see that it's done a little bit more. And so I'm going to start again at the thin end and cut. By the way, this makes absolutely fabulous sandwiches. But you have to cut it on that angle. Let me see if you can see the angle a little more. If I turn this way. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. And you can cut it up if it shreds a little bit, that's fine. It's a teeny bit crusty on the bottom. And here you've got some absolutely beautiful pieces of meat. It's still, this is a much thicker piece, so it's quite a bit less done there. And I really don't want to cook the rest of it at this point. It's perfectly fine if you take this and let it cool down and store it in your refrigerator overnight, and then, or for however long you need it, and then eat it cold with either some mustard or the chimichurri sauce is fabulous with cold steak. So there we have it. And I'm going to turn the peppers up to broil, because that'll get them a little faster. But you really have to keep an eye on them. As I said, you want them to cook through and just slightly charcoal. So I'm going to test this again. Any other questions or comments?
No, not yet.
Okay. I wish you were here.
I do too.
We would have a feast. Actually, I have a friend coming over tomorrow for lunch, and I think I'm going to save the rest of this. And you can, at this point, since it's quite almost raw at this point, this part is fabulous as far as rare to medium rare. I'm going to save this and heat it again tomorrow quickly on high and let it finish cooking a little bit more on the inside, warm it up, and then do the same thing, and probably with the peppers, because I know that she likes peppers. And it'll take us just another minute for this. This is a good meal for someone who is trying to maintain weight or perhaps even lose weight, because you have your good protein, especially if you're an omnivore, and you have the peppers or any other green vegetable that you want to add. I can do the same thing with green beans to make it a balanced meal. And of course, the rice. Here's another hint that I learned from a former cooking partner in my cooking school in Aspen. Here's our pot of what? We'll go back to the stove. Let's do it this way. This is so much fun. This is a pot of brown rice. And it has been cooked just with water and a teeny bit of butter. And I think I must have added something else. I might have added some of yesterday's. You see this? It's stuck. Okay, that will all come out. But I think I'm going to add just a little of that wonderful olive oil with all the rub spices in it to my rice. And it makes a very tasty accompaniment for the meat and for whatever vegetable you're using. And rice, by the way, even with the olive oil on it, can be left covered on your range for a couple of days. This came from my former partner in the cooking school in Aspen, who had lived in Japan. Actually, she and her husband got married in Japan. And she said, this is what the Japanese do all the time. They keep the pot of rice waiting. And it's there on the range whenever they need it. And it can always be heated up. And of course, adding the flavors and the little bit of the oil from the cooking of the meat just gives it really incredible flavor. So rice is no longer a bland addition. So you have your starches, you have your veggies, and you have your meats and proteins. And you've got a balanced meal. Now, what would you put with it? Hyatt, are you still with us? I'm just curious what you would put with it to drink. Do we have any comments there?
It takes a second for us to get them.
Ah, okay. We are beginning to broil.
Now, when I mentioned about orange and green, what I meant was I think the orange peppers with the green sauce are so nice together, pretty colors.
Beautiful, yes. The green peppers are wonderful. In certain things, I like them cooked, but I really am not a fan of green peppers because I feel as though they're not ripe.
I don't like green either.
Yeah, I like the ripeness and the colors, of course, with the other vegetables. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
agree.
beautiful. The peppers, as I said, we did this yesterday, and it turned out to be absolutely fabulous. And the other thing that I did, when you're serving it for company, if you save some of your leaves, either from the parsley or from the mint, and you're serving, you can serve the meat on a platter, such as we've got here, or you can put it on a regular platter and surround it with the peppers, and then put the rice in a different bowl if you like. And it makes a beautiful serving. And of course, you can drizzle some of the chimichurri sauce on it, the green sauce, or just put it in a bowl or two so that people can help themselves. So that's a couple of different ways that it can be served. And you get the beautiful colors, which really makes a pretty table, as well as, I don't know if you've ever heard nutritionally, the more color you can get in your vegetables, the more different nutrients you're getting. Because each of the colors is influenced by the nutrients that's in the vegetable or the fruit. So that makes a difference. And yeah, it's really pretty. It's beautiful green.
That really is beautiful. Very rich looking.
Oh, that smells. I'm going to have to remember to put the cinnamon in the next time. Oh, we use so much cinnamon. Another hint for people who are interested in something different. What do you do with cinnamon? One of the things I do is I cook or bake apples with it. I'll take apples and cut them up with the skins, scrub, don't peel, and cut them up and just put them in with maybe a ½ inch of water in a pot and cover it. And then I put a cinnamon stick in. And if I want to, afterwards, I can add some more of the ground cinnamon. But we put ground cinnamon in our coffee in the morning. Just a little shake, maybe ½ a teaspoon or a teaspoon until you get used to the flavors. That's one of the things I believe that's used in Mexican coffee. And it really does perk up the flavor of the coffee. And it even works with milk. Mm-hmm.
Wow, I can't wait to bring you on as my personal chef.
I do that. That's another thing that I've been doing. I've been helping out a bunch of seniors. I'm blessed to be able to do this, to help people have some physical challenges, some health challenges. And a gentleman, I think I can go back on full camera now. Can I do this? Let me see if this works, Dr. Jacalyn. Am I there?
Yes, you're here.
Okay. A gentleman who has some health challenges, so I cook special meals for him. And as a chef for seniors, that's one of the things that I love doing because it really helps people, especially if they can't get out or they don't want to get out, to understand the difference between eating from a can and, maybe ordering in some good food and having the food freshly prepared that they really like. They choose the menus. And so I go in and I can come in with a whole kitchen. Chefs for Seniors provides this. And I prepare anywhere from 3 to 5 meals per 2 weeks for them. So it's on a 2-week schedule or 10-day schedule. And so that they get to have what they really like to eat, and it's fresh. So it's far more helpful for them than having to go either out to a restaurant or to have other foods brought in. I'm going to turn there we go. I'm turning our peppers. Another thing you can use to turn things like this, of course, is tongs. And sometimes they work a little bit better than a fork.
But Chef Ricki, did you put any oil in the pan or you just put the peppers in?
No, I put a little bit of oil on the bottom and I mushed it around with my fingers. It's almost like when you're baking something.
I already know what you're going to say, but what are your thoughts about using a spray?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
here's what they look like. They're a little bit, wait a minute, I can't touch the other side. They're starting to brown. You can see that.
Pretty.
And they smell good. Now, I have the oven on broil, but my rack is this far away. It's not up close to the broiler. So that they take a little bit longer this way. They should only take about another 5 minutes to broil on the second side. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to set up a pretty plate because I'm going to do something that was recommended by our friend Red, who is also in the health industry. And I'm going to take my beautiful pieces here and put them on a luncheon plate. And it's very interesting. The psychology behind this is excellent as far as for people who don't want to eat too much and they want to cut back on their size, the size of the servings that they have. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to take my sauce and put it separately.
Red's smiling right now wherever he is.
I know. And take my beautiful, oh, this is good. It's interesting. I love plain rice, but it just somehow, when you get all the other goodies in here, and I'm using, this is probably about a third of a cup of rice instead of a half cup, which is the normal type serving. And we'll have those peppers in just a second, and you'll see how pretty the whole plate. Oh, those are beautiful. It's time. I don't think that was even 5 minutes. And please be careful when you take these things out because they are hot. And you'll see how pretty they are in just a second. And there we have, I'm going to use the other camera because you can see it better. You can see the plate.
Yes.
How did I do that?
We're adding technology specialists to your list of accomplishments.
Oh, yes, indeed. Okay, and just to give you a proportion size, this isn't that beautiful?
So pretty.
And I have to tell you, it smells marvelous. Now, just for comparison, to hold to that small plate theory, here's the difference in a dinner plate. And if you filled up the dinner plate, you might have quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Yep. And so people who are eating this size plate would be perfectly comfortable with it. And if you want to go back for seconds, that would be permissible, of course.
Well, what a beautiful presentation.
I'm going to serve this tomorrow, and I believe that I will serve it with a just slightly chilled, either blended red or a Merlot. Just a nice light wine that'll go with it and just pick up the flavors. Or a beer. Beer would be great with this, especially with the chimichurri sauce, an icy cold beer. So
I'm wondering if the second that we end the show, if Richard's going to be coming around and grabbing that plate.
Guess who that's for?
That's not making it till tomorrow with the visitor. No, I don't think so.
No, it'll make it. No, we've got plenty tomorrow. Although she certainly can, as a friend of mine used to say, put away the groceries. And so that is it for today. We have the spice rub, which you can actually use on anything. We still have plenty of the spice rub left. And what I would suggest is when you have a glass jar from spices, any glass jar, I'll show you what I've done. And, okay, I'll bring it up to the camera this way. We just took an old spice jar, put it through the washing machine, the dishwasher, and I type up my little, whatever's in there. That has to be something called the diner blend, which is a specific blend of spices, which can be used in this as well. but keep your old glass jars. So now I'm going to take my chimichurri mix up, the spice rub for the chimichurri, and put it in another glass jar. So I have another rub that I can use from now on. It's great for barbecuing. So that's another handy tip for using what you make.
Fantastic, Ricki. Thank you so much. Not only a beautiful presentation, but also a lot of fantastic tips along the way.
I hope so. Thank you so much, Dr. Jacalyn, and whoever's with us today. Please come back next Friday when we're on again. And if you're brave enough, on Zoom, if you go to rickiskitchen.net, on Zoom on Thursdays at 11 o'clock Central, we'll be cooking up something good, or as I say, whisking up something good. And I can see the hand. He's already snuck down here because he knows what's coming.
I can't blame him. And listen, he facilitated the 2 cameras, so he's earned it.
He's my technical engineer as well as the love of my life, and I'm delighted that he's here and I can feed him well.
A man will definitely be very appreciative with good food and a good woman, that's for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing everybody again, and keep watching Dr. Jacalyn and all of her shows on USA Global TV.
Thank you, Ricki.
Goodbye from United Kitchens. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Just a quick mention that we are on our new schedule for 2022. We had our official launch party on Monday. If you missed it, it was a lot of fun. We had some great entertainment. Please go over to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV, and you can go under playlist special events, and it is there. This show, The United Kitchens, has its own playlist, and you can find it under United Kitchens. What a surprise. Okay, and before we go, a selfish plug about my new book that's coming out, Adversity to Awesome, True Stories from Survivors, Imprisonment, Addiction, Sexual Assault, Abandonment, and more. These are people that I had the honor to interview and capture their stories in their own words. So that will be available April the 4th. All right, coming up right now is The Listening Mentor with my guest, Caroline Heward, followed by Loving Longevity with my co-host, Annie Bush, followed by the closeout for our day is presenting Pet Psychic Amina. And our guest today is the Reverend Dottie Boone. We've got 2 psychics in the house. So if you'd like to have a reading, please do join us via putting your comments and any requests that you might have. All right. Thank you, Chef Ricki. And thank you, Richard. We look forward to seeing you again. Have a lovely weekend. Bye, everybody.